Storm Ginger is burying the east, but we've got an icebreaker out west. It's winter heat, and Craig Biffle is the hottest of the hot. That great race place, North Wilkesboro, is under new management. Brings into question just how will the short tracks manage in the late 90s. Formula One drivers jockey for position in 96. The brand new team arrives in 97. Jackie Stewart is putting that together. Glad you're together with us for RPM Tonight.
Hey, welcome. We're coming to you from snowbound Connecticut, where we're praising the invention of front-wheel drive. We'll have the school closures shortly. Happy New Year. We're back after a couple of holiday weeks. Over 6 decades, the stock cars have been seen at North Wilkesboro. 2 races a season since 1952, and 2 are planned again this year. But then the races may be parted out because the track's been sold to 2 parties. The new co-owners, Bob Bear and family, the owners of the New Hampshire International Speedway, and Speedway Motorsports, headed by O. Bruton Smith. Speedway owns the tracks in Charlotte, Atlanta, and the new oval under construction near Fort Worth. North Wilkesboro has quite a history. The Winston Series' oldest charter member, opening back in 1947. One of its founders, Enoch Staley, pictured there on the track that was originally dirt. The asphalt was poured in 1957. Great short track memories, the bumper-to-bumper wars of Richard Petty and rival Bobby Allison. But could the sale signal the end of an era? Bill Weber has that story.
With NASCAR's appeal rapidly growing across the country, the pressure has been turned up as new tracks try to attract new events and old tracks desperately cling to what they've got. Most sites are secure, but a handful of facilities may be facing a shaky future, one that could cost a priceless Winston Cup race. This week's announcement that North Wilkesboro Speedway has been sold quickly led to sweeping speculation that purchasers Bruton Smith and Bob Bear were after the attractive dates, not really the aging track. But Smith says he wants to get a race at the new Texas Motor Speedway the old-fashioned way.
I've been hoping all the time we would earn a date, too, as far as NASCAR is concerned, because I want everybody that's in our sport to believe that what we're doing in Texas is the right thing for the sport. Helps to build the sport, build NASCAR, and that's what we're about. And of course, I have had conversation with Mr. Bill France about this, and we'll continue to talk.
Do you think this could lead to you getting a Winston Cup race in 1996?
I certainly hope so, and I think it will.
The way things are going in the motorsports community today and the way the big tracks are headed and NASCAR and the corporate sponsors, it's the market right now, the market is high to sell. The value is up there. And rather than take a chance on a few years from now having nothing, we decided to sell now.
Track president Mike Staley felt the time to sell was now. North Wilkesboro seats about 40,000 fans. Texas Motor Speedway will seat 4 times that many. The enticement to the sanctioning body and the multi-million-dollar sponsors, a new track in a larger market with a fresh fan base thirsty for stock car racing. As for the immediate future, what's the forecast for North Wilkesboro?
Well, we can certainly forecast that in April, we'll be running a race in April in North Wilkesboro. Now, of course, we'll be meeting in the next couple of days, and we'll make decisions on some other things.
Do you feel there will be 2 Winston Cup races at this track in 1996?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely.
While North Wilkesboro may be the first victim, the feeling flowing from here is other tracks may be targeted to lose at least 1 date as NASCAR continues to eye possible expansion to inviting sites like Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Homestead, Florida. The question now becomes, is the sport cannibalizing its past or simply responding to demand and building a firm foundation so it can continue to flourish in the future? In North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, Bill Weber, RPM Tonight.
All right, thanks for that report. A brief history of who's done what at North Wilkesboro. Richard Petty, of course, with the most wins, 15 in the most races, 62. Darrell Waltrip has done quite well in his 43 starts, 10 wins at the old track. The prize money went up since Petty's time, so it's Dale Earnhardt with just 5 wins, but most of the cash, $763,000. The New Hampshire International Speedway hosts IndyCar and Winston Cup. The hope is for another Winston Cup race after the purchase of North Wilkesboro. See Jeff Gordon winning last summer. Here now, the governor of New Hampshire on the impact of getting another race.
I don't think anyone anticipated that Winston Cup racing was going to be as big a splash in New Hampshire as it was. And we then were showcased around the country for about 2 weeks. A second Winston Cup race will showcase this state as darn near as much as the New Hampshire primary. It'll be a big deal for us.
Again, as it stands, both Winston Cup races remain put in '96 at North Wilkesboro. A NASCAR spokesman, however, admits that in the past, track ownership changes have affected schedules. We'll have to stay on that story. And now to a change by addition in next season's Super Truck Series by Craftsman. The King, Richard Petty, is sending out a vehicle. The driver will be Rich Bickle. Bickle's been in racing since the age of 14. In all, he has 225 short track wins in various racing categories. He's a Super Truck rookie, but a vet on the Super Truck courses, getting wins on 10 of the 23 tracks that the trucks will be run on this year. As for the deal with King, he was odd.
When I first got talking to Richard, I was kind of intimidated by him, and everybody I talked to said, well, just like family. And after about the second trip up there, it's a great feeling to come in the door, and the people are great. I don't feel a lot of pressure because I've been racing for 20 years now, and I think that we should have a good year. I don't consider myself a rookie. Like I said, I've been doing this for 20 years, and just because it's a different format for myself, doing 30 Cup races and running 15 Busch races last few years, I don't consider myself a rookie.
As a driver and owner, Petty Enterprises is king, just like Richard in Winston Cup racing. It all started back in 1949. Petty Enterprises has had almost 36 drivers, 268 wins. Bobby Hamilton ran for Petty last season and had 4 top 5 finishes. As seen on this very channel, Greg Biffle went out Sunday in Tucson for a winter heat three-peat. The finale of the NASCAR late models here and a possible sweep for Biffle. In case you missed it, here we go out there to Tucson. The only female to field 55-year-old grandmother Fran Lundberg in the 71 car. Greg Biffle started out in the 12th spot. He'd move up in no time. Biffle 10th after 3 laps. Goes after Jeff Bird right there and moves into 8th. 2 laps later, Biffle going inside of Carl Trimmer and moving on into 7th place. After 25 laps, Biffle moving ahead. He's now in 5th place. But your leader after 25, Chris Trickle, led the first 47. The last leads in the first 47 laps of this race. Meanwhile, Biffle's run of the leaders was halted when Kevin Vernon won't let him pass. Lap 62, there's Jeff Bird spinning out. The caution allowed Biffle to pass Vernon. 1 lap before the break, Jerry Kane is smoking.
We're not going to do anything too crazy right now because we got 75 laps more of the last race here, so we're going to take a little stagger out of the right rear and go from there. We're going to the front.
6 laps after the break here, Jeff Bird and Sean Woodside, they get together and they get nutty and they spin out. Woodside's day is done. He heads to the garage with a transmission leak. Trickle takes over the lead. Biffle would pass Paul Bangart for 2nd place as Biffle sets his sights for the lead. Trickle got a little bit of a scare late in the race, smoke coming from the back, but Biffle could not pass him. A lap to go. Jody Tanner passes Paul Bangart on the inside to take over 3rd, but your winner is Chris Trickle, followed by Biffle. He's in 2nd, but it's Greg Biffle winning the challenge of the $5,000. He wins 2 out of those 3 races. Go out now to Bill Weber in Tucson. Bill Weber, of course, as not only the winner, Chris Trickle, but the winner of the whole series, Greg Biffle. And here's Weber.
Okay, Kenny, thanks a lot, and a great day out here. We had some spectacular weather, and for the 4th week in a row, some great racing. And today, the man going to Victory Lane was Chris Trickle, and you had a tough time getting there, but you made it today. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We've had a little bad luck here in these races, but finally pulled one off. Feels really good.
Last time we saw that car was on fire, Chris. You told me you did a lot of work on it between that race and this one.
Yeah, we had to rebuild a lot of it, and guys got it together real good. It was real strong, and we were fortunate to pull one out today.
A lot of Dick Trickle fans out there, obviously. Pardon the pun, but there's going to be a trickle-down effect there. A lot of fans rooting for you out here. What has it helped do to your career just in the last 3 or 4 weeks?
It really is a benefit. The fans like to come up and they talk to me, and they know that I'm related to Dick Trickle, and it seems like they can relate to me better for it, because they'll come up and talk about Wisconsin and the old times that they used to go watch Dick race and race against Dick and all that, and it's good. It's a lot of fun. I like talking to them about it.
Well, congratulations on your big win here in Tucson today.
Thank you very much.
And the big winner, Greg Biffle, comes home with the Winston Challenge Championship. You wanted to three-peat, you wanted to get them all, but boy, you came home second. I know you're really disappointed with that $5 grand.
Yeah. No, we're not disappointed one bit. We had some really tough times today qualifying. You know, we qualified 11th and started back in the field and had to use up a lot of tire to get to the front. Chris ran real strong today. Everybody ran strong up front. And we really had to fight to get to the front. And we tightened it up at the halfway point, and it got much better to second session. And with about 35 laps to go, we lost a cylinder, burned the spark plug wire. So that took our chances of winning away. We were right on Chris's bumper and trying to put a little pressure on him, see if he'll crack, but he didn't. And but we're happy with second. You know, we won the 3-race championship, and hopefully something will turn of it. And
I know you wanted to build on this, and that's the purpose of this series.
yeah, we're hoping to come up with some, you know, some more sponsors, a ride. And I want to thank Ray Bestis Brakes for, we tried out a new pad today that they gave us, and it worked out great. You know, great job.
Well, congratulations. Greg Biffle is the Winston Challenge champion. Now, we'll be back here in Tucson next Sunday with more racing action right here at Tucson Raceway Park. And by the way, Kenny, there will be school in Tucson on Monday.
Hey, all right, he got the winner, he got the champ, even a school report. Actually, in the opening, we said we get the closings. They're all closed back east, so thanks, Bill. By the way, next week, winter heat race that he mentioned is the NASCAR Southwest Featherlight Tour. And stay around with us for more on RPM Tonight. Tonight, for near and more distant racing plans, Daytona is the race place to be for all sorts of vehicles. The 24 hours of Daytona drivers are getting set to go. And so is the Ford Company for Formula One racing. The new team is coming together. Stay with us.
RPM Tonight is being brought to you by McDonald's. Have you had your break today?
Ford's better idea this time is to be part of a brand new Formula One racing team. Ford and 3-time champion Jackie Stewart hope to have a car in testing next fall and be racing in 1997. James Allen is our man in Birmingham, England, with this story.
The 1996 Formula One season is less than 10 weeks away, but this week the spotlight turned to 1997 with the news that legendary 3-time world champion Jackie Stewart has signed a 5-year deal with the Ford Motor Company to go Grand Prix racing. Stewart and Ford go back a long way. He won 22 of his 27 Grand Prix with the marque and 2 of his world championships.
We've got to crawl even before we walk, never mind run. I've never, as a racing driver, promised anybody any success of winning. I've said that we will be successful in one form or another, if not winning races, perceived to be a leading contender. And if you do all the right things, success will in due course occur. But it won't occur in the first year, the second year, or the third year to the levels that people may say, well, he should be further up than that.
Now, in the last few years, we've seen some new teams like Simtech and Pacific in particular fold and collapse. The name Stewart is one of the great names of Grand Prix racing. You have a reputation to protect. Presumably you're confident you've got all the resources behind you for a long-term commitment.
The other teams clearly did not go in with enough financial support or backing. And if you don't have that, you can't buy the engineering, you can't buy the technology, you can't buy the people. So we have to have that. And I'm certainly not confident right now. We've launched it. Now it's my business to get underway in securing the right financial base.
Now, Heinz-Harald Frentzen last year signed a commitment with Ford for the future. Obviously, you'd like to make him part of your plans for 97?
I would adore to have Heinz-Harald Frentzen as our driver, our lead driver. But whether his career will allow that to happen, going to a new team, is another matter. Again, we've got no illusions about that. I went to Ken Tyrrell as one of the leading drivers of the world for a brand new team. It can happen. But I didn't expect to win in the first year. We did manage to do quite well, but we didn't win the World Championship. But we have to just look and see who's available and who we think is right for our team.
All right, we're international. Now, the chairman is Jackie. His son, Paul, is the managing director. A look here at what some past Stewart Racing members have been up to lately. David Coulthard ran 3rd in Formula One last season. In IndyCar, Gilles de Ferran was Rookie of the Year in '95. In all, Stewart Racing has brought home 88 race wins and 8 titles between various racing disciplines. Ford is the power for the '96 season for the Red Bull Sauber team. Here's one of the vehicles. Heinz-Harald Frentzen is one of 2 drivers who will break in the brand new Ford Z-Tech RV10 engine. The other is Johnny Herbert, who comes over from the Benetton team. These two drivers will be the only ones using the new motor. More Formula One racing news here. Martin Brundle, who last season raced for the Leger team, will take over for Eddie Irvine on the Jordan Peugeot team this season. Here's James Allen again.
They say experience pays, and this year Jordan have decided to pay for experience, hiring Martin Brundle to partner Rubens Barrichello in the Jordan Peugeot team. Martin, what do you think specifically Jordan's hired you for, apart from experience?
Charm and good looks, obviously. I have no idea. I suspect because the two drivers they've had in recent years, neither of them or none of them have been at any other significant team, so I can bring a lot of experience from other teams, plus sort of 10 years plus of experience driving Formula One cars. I know what I want. Jordan know where they need to go. They need to improve the performances they've had over the last 2 seasons particularly. So if they want to join the front runners, and they've hired me, that's great, and I'm very happy about it.
All right, James Allen working overtime. Brundle's still without an F1 win in his 140 tries. He did get a third this last season at the Grand Prix of Belgium. He had a second at Monaco in 1994. Indy racing note here, Hiro Matsushita has signed on with the Peyton Coyne Racing. He brings along his Panasonic sponsorship. He'll drive a Lola Ford Cosworth rolling around on Firestone tires. Matsushita was 10th at the Indy 500 last season. His best finish 6th in the 94 Michigan 500. Stay with us. Top fuel champ Kenny Bernstein. He's in service of his country. We'll have his match with the military coming up soon. And big things are about to take place at Daytona. We'll be there for all of it. Up next, a preview. They've already fired up at Daytona for the opening race of the Winston Cup season. Chevys were out testing this past week over 3 days, and the best time so far clocked by Terry Labonte. Look at them all here. We got the top 11 for you. So Labonte at the top in the Cornflakes and Pop-Tarts car, 187 and change, followed by Sterling Marlin. And there was a tie for third between last season's champ Jeff Gordon and Jeff Purvis. When I say last season, I mean the entire season. Dale Earnhardt, he was the runner-up in 95. He had the 5th best time. 6 through 11 went this way. Joe Nemechek went 186 and change. Robert Presley, last season's 2nd best rookie driver, he went 185 miles per hour. 2 weeks before the Daytona 500, IMSA racing will be front and center. It's the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. Marty Reed is our man down there for a preview.
A record 37 entries turned out this weekend at Daytona International Speedway, and those entries which plan to wait until the February 3rd race will probably wish they had shown up. Right out of the box, Fermin Velez broke the World Sports Car qualifying record unofficially by 0.2 of a second in the Scandia Ferrari. And by Monday, when testing ends, expectations are that several more cars will be under the mark in each of IMSA's 3 racing divisions. One of the great things about the Rolex 24 is the debut of new machinery, and what you're looking at is the 1997 Dodge Viper. 680 horsepower. They're going to have 2 of them running here in February. It's the first time Chrysler's been at the Rolex 24 since 1990, when they used to run the Dodge Daytonas. One surprise among the well-known drivers in the field was Bob Wallach. For the past 15 years, the Frenchman has been known for winning in Porsches. But the 55-year-old Wallach will drive with Jean-Pierre Moretti and Didier Taze in the Momo Ferrari.
The fact that this car has been very successful in the past, as I said before, it's a factory effort. They have a good experience here because they raced this car last year and they were in the lead before they retired.
While there are always new cars and drivers, there is also always one constant, at least at Daytona. For the 25th year in a row, Hurley Haywood will climb behind the wheel of a Porsche. No one knows more about this race or racetrack.
I think Daytona is more difficult than Le Mans because, one, we have at least 12 hours of darkness here. We have the banking to contend with, and we have a whole different varying speeds of the different classes and cars here. So I think getting through the 24 hours of Daytona is a monumental feat.
The twice-around-the-clock marathon begins Saturday, February 3rd at 1 p.m., and you can see it live here on The Deuce. From Daytona, this is Marty Reed for RPM Tonight.
Hey, thanks, Marty. If you're headed down to Daytona, here's your schedule. If you're not going, here's what we'll be covering. The Busch Clash is February 11th. The Winston pole winners from 95 lead this field. The Daytona ARCA 200 goes off right afterward. On Thursday, February 15th, the Daytona Twin 125 qualifying. Teams fighting to make the Daytona 500. On Friday, the 16th, it's the NASCAR Goodies Dash. That's followed by the International Race of Champions with champs from NASCAR, IndyCar, Sports Car, and Short Track. On Saturday the 17th, we're starting to build up. The Goodies 300 opens up the Busch Series season, and the headliner on the 18th, the Daytona 500. Sterling Marlin going for 3 in a row. And don't forget, we'll preview that race 11 a.m. right here, 11 Eastern, February 18th. Stay around for more on RPM tonight. Kenny Bernstein going 300 miles per hour, but his message, stay under control. You'll like what we're doing for you, Toyota. A couple of promotional announcements right here. Toyota has been named the official truck for IndyCar racing for the next 3 years. You'll see IndyCar bosses and safety team members cruising around in Toyota makes at all the races. Also, another promotional note here, Road America Inc. has announced a 3-year deal with Toyota as the official car and truck for the track. Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin is a 4-mile, 13-turn track. Takes on races 165 times a year. Our nation's men and women in uniform will get some driving safety pointers from a guy who likes to scream up the track at 300 miles per hour. Top fuel drag champ Kenny Bernstein is the lead man in a designated driver program for the 4 military branches. The Anheuser-Busch companies will fund things as the corporate sponsor. Members of the U.S. Armed Forces will be receiving posters and flyers with the slogan, "Team up and choose a designated driver." Kenny Bernstein, leading a good cause.
Let me tell you how proud I am to stand here today to tell you how I feel about being the designated driver spokesperson. This is something that I enjoy very much and means the most to me. It's as good as winning a world championship, if you can understand that, because it gives me a part to say to the people that support us in our business and our racing how much we care about them.
I think it's particularly gratifying that Mr. Bernstein, being a race car driver, brings a lot to our young people. There's a great deal of identification associated with his name and Team Budweiser, and I think that'll go a long ways to promoting this program and making sure that everyone knows that Anheuser-Busch, the United States Military Forces, are very serious about this program and want it to work.
All right, Kenny Bernstein with some public service for those in the service. We're right back with a special racetracks, this time in tribute to the great moments seen at North Wilkesboro.
Just trying to do the best job we can, and the spotter's helping me, the mirror helps me, and you know, we can't fool anybody. It's just everybody's going to be watching.
As you heard at the top of the show, North Wilkesboro was sold, so we're here with the racetracks to sell you on all the great racing scene down there.
Darrell Waltrip less than a half a lap now from victory. The car ahead of him is the number 6 of D.K. Ulrich. He approaches the back end of that car, but off the accelerator just a little bit, and he wins the race. 1 more to go. Run, it's inside of Dale Earnhardt as they go into turn number 1, and both of them spin. Bodine wins.
Probably the most emotional will be when they drop the green flag. I'm just thankful to be able to be here.
Kenny Schrader is 7th. Ernie Irvin is 8th. Irvin has moved to 3rd position. The 88 car, driven by Ernie Irvin, is in the lead.
I tell you, this is great. You know, everybody wonders why Ernie Irvin wanted to come back to racing. That's what it's all about.
All right, big moments in North Wilkesboro. We are back again next Sunday